Hi friends, welcome to the last week of the Eye of the Needle course. I'm the special guest, dun, 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 Lexie, and just wanted to at first mention that you've completed something, or you're in the process of completing something, so there is cause for, and in an invitation to recognize that about 4 weeks ago, you made a commitment to take on this body of work, the Eye of the Needle meditation with Rebecca. In many cases, you took on the liver cleanse. In many cases, you took on the Wednesday night meetings where you got a chance to picture page and see other parts of the group, other people expressing what was coming through for them. And so in whatever ways you've participated, you've done it. In whatever ways you haven't participated that you wanted to, you have that information available to yourself. In whatever remains or whatever's been unleashed and uncovered and opened up in the course of this study, this frame, this Eye of the Needle meditation course, all of that's yours. Pretty cool. And so I want to say congratulations, and to just take a moment to appreciate what you've done and where you've come from. You can do this as a little bit of a practice, maybe tonight when you go to bed, or in the morning before you wake up, or both. The practice is really powerful, and some of you who have done retreats and workshops with me in the past will be familiar with this, as well as other things in your life, and it's called recapitulation. And recapitulation is the active practice of remembering or tracking back from one point in time to another point in time. So this, any section where we do this around New Year's, we do this around anniversaries, we do this around birthdays, but there's no reason why you can't pick your own start date and your own end date, or your own end date and your own start date, and have a look at like what happened, what it was like, what you experienced. And the best way to do this, or a way that's advisable to do this, is to sit in meditation. So sit comfortable seat, or lie down. If you're lying down and you do this in bed at night, you may find that you fall asleep, which recapitulating yourself into sleep isn't a bad thing. As many of you, or some of you, told me that when you'd listen to some of the videos during the course, you would fall asleep too, and that's also not a bad thing. It's really nice to usher yourself off into a meditation or a sleep space from a state of meditation. Anyway, so recapitulation might be at the end of this course, what you delineate as the end of this course. You mark that, and you feel on the final day, as you're lying in bed, you mark that in your consciousness as, this is the end of this course. And then you track back in time with your mind, and you really are soft with it and also strong with it. So you're working Eye of the Needle, you're working imaginization and visualization, you're working everything that you've cultivated or everything that you've touched on during this course. You're using these tools to look back from this point that you delineate as the end of the course, and you travel back in time to the beginning, to maybe the end of the first video. Yeah, and maybe you're doing it now, even just in the casual discussion of it, and this is potent. There's no limit to how many times you can trace back, or consciousness can trace back and notice all sorts of things that went on. It will behoove you to, again, utilize this, especially this piece that I think Rebecca was talking about today with discipline, and in making the practice your own, has to do with being yourself the whole way through. Being yourself the whole way through. So as you're lying in your bed and you're resting on a magic carpet experience of relaxation and openness and opening intelligence, and you've given it a frame, you say, wow. It's good to start any frame, any opening with a bit of appreciation and gratitude. So maybe you say, wow, thank you. Thank you, self. Thank you, imagination. Thank you, source, for the opportunity to lie in this bed, in this moment, for the opportunity to sit in this body, in this moment, and to delineate a point in time that's called the end of the Eye of the Needle course. And from this point, I will draw a line back in time, no matter how meandering the line is, and I will notice what has occurred, what has gone on, what I have experienced. And I'll just watch as images come in, as feelings come in, as senses come in. And I will be here as the witness to this, traveling back through time until I reach the beginning. And as you reach the beginning, you might close the space as well and say, self, thank you. Creator, thank you. The opportunity to investigate my life in a way that's meaningful to me is a great honor and a great privilege. There's nothing that I'd rather be doing in this moment than exalting the present, the presence, the present time consciousness. Thank you for accompanying me on this journey. Thank you for accompanying us on this journey. So you just back yourself up. You find a data backup point, zink, and you just notice what went down in that space. Feel free to take some notes of your impression. It's afterwards. This could be a springboard for a particular, maybe for a project, or for, a dance, or for a script, or for a way that you want to be when you're at the office or with your kids, or da-da-da-da-da, on and on and on. It's yours. So to come together around this last piece, and I was inspired to jump in on this last one in making the practice yours, because it's really incredible. And I've watched and experienced a lot of really leading edge and cutting edge techniques and technologies, and I've been a part of experimenting and playing with a lot of them, and there's tons, and there's more and more all the time. And one thing that I've noticed that has struck me wildly is that how, when a bit of information comes through, or there's a cutting edge or a leading edge of the way something is presented, the way that people learn it is to model how it was taught to them. So, for example, there's a newish school of yoga, and I've taken some courses. I took some early trainings with them when they began this school, and it's beautiful. It's a beautiful movement vocabulary. There's a lot to it that does a lot more with non-linearity. It does a lot with circles. It does a lot with this dimension of like yoga as a lifestyle, and not in the way that it often has been with restrictions and like living a yogic lifestyle might mean you don't eat garlic or onions, and it might mean that when you do your pranayama, you pull in the pelvic floor and you pull the belly in and you take Jalandhara Bandha. It might mean these things, and this system doesn't have a lot of that going on. Instead, it has a lot of wisdom of this concentric circles, or opening out, or it has a non-linear flavor to it, and it also has a non-linear, non-up and down movement in the body. It's like a circle. So when this is coming out, it's amazing, it's beautiful, the technology is incredible, and the teachers teach it. And then the students who become teachers then teach it, and when they're teaching it, they sound like the teachers who are teaching it. Like to a T. Like you could close your eyes and you look and you go, wow, like this could be the same person. It's mind-blowing. It's really crazy and really cool. And so this modeling thing is something that we do, and we do from the time it's a developmental thing. So we learn by emulating. From the very first time, right when we come out of the womb, within 5 minutes, you can, if you're holding a baby, try this. If you see one when it first pops out of the womb, and if you're holding it and you stick your tongue out, bleh, the baby will stick its tongue out as well, as a way of like first communication. So there's something in our brain, that has to do with knowing that we're with like kind. This is the jurisdiction, this is the domain of the critter brain, or the reptile brain, or a very old part of our brain that knows that it's safe if we see sameness. And it also helps us to learn. So when we notice that we're emulating, or where we're using language, or maybe we don't even notice it. That's what's freaky to me too, is I'll look around and be like, is no one else noticing that they sound exactly the same as you know, it's freaky. And this is, the yoga example was just one example. There's plenty of others. And you know, I don't know how it's fascinating to me, and the pieces that are relevant are unfolding in fascinating ways as well. So, for instance, this piece about the brain, that some part of us emulates in order to know that we are with like kind, that we are safe, that fight, flight, freeze, or bite can calm down. The critter brain can relax, so that learning can take place, so that we're safe. We're in a place that's conducive to learning. So there's that dimension of it, which is real cool. So we let ourselves emulate, we let ourselves try on words, we let ourselves experiment with new vocabulary, new languages, new systems of languages, new ways of saying old things, and we just let them be. We let them live. We let them have a full life, you know, let them fully come to life as us. And as we're doing this, in whatever ways this occurs to you, allow yourself to find your own ass, to find your own heartbeat, to look through your own eyes, to feel through your own hands as you're expressing whatever you're expressing, to do with this teaching or another teaching, or new insights that are coming through, that have a frame, that come from somewhere. So some of this is about being able to see, eye of the needle. What the hell is that about, you know? Okay, it first was about finding a balance between effort, over-efforting, and not enough effort. So the ways that Rebecca talked about it, or the ways that she offered study in it or something, and the metaphors that she used, which are hilarious. No, they're just, her metaphors are gorgeous. And who she is gorgeous, and how she presents it is gorgeous, and how you experience it is gorgeous, and how you share uniquely what it was like to be a part of it, like, and not in order to say, promote it or something, but just really like, letting it infect you, letting you infect it, and have this mutual infection forever and ever and ever and ever, back and forth forever. So making the practice yours has something to do with discipline, as Rebecca talked a lot about, I guess, today and at the beginning of this video. And being willing to do something new, and to recognize that when something is, the patterns that you may run up against, some of them have been there for millennia, let's just say. These are old parts of our brains that are the same. They're critter, they're creature, they're reptile. They understand themselves only through protection, fight, flight, freeze, or bite. So that's why when you're taking in new information, that modeling can be really helpful. And because you're an evolving being, because you're knowing yourself as intelligence, as clarity, as just what you are expressing, you have an invitation, there is an invitation to make it yours, to let what comes through come through. And then you get to notice what parts of you stands in opposition to that, or may stand in opposition to that. Often it could be comparison to other people. When I talk about this, it sounds like this. When they talk about it, it sounds like this. And that means I'll never make it in Hollywood, for instance. There are infinitely many combinations of the ways that protective patterning works to keep us safe. To keep us safe because we've learned to exist in this way, and once we start to step out, it basically goes against everything in this creature neurology. So discipline's important in that way. In the way that you have the discipline to be with yourself wherever you go, and to be as yourself wherever you go. This is a big turning from seeing yourself and your experience as separate, or seeing you and another as separate, or in competition, or better than or worse than in some way. So you stay, you rest as yourself, you rest as awareness, you express as you are, and you delight us when you do that. You delight the whole world. The whole world is given permission to be itself. So that's what this invitation here is today. And what an honor. Again, thank you so much for being a part of Via the Needle. And we all have the next course that's coming up is called For a Change, and it's around oppression, reprogramming oppression, justice. It's going to have some really cool homework assignments inside of it. Like, you'll be required to take first aid and CPR, or at least sign up for it in the course. And yeah, so there's some really cool things that are coming up with the coursework, and then Rebecca will also probably be doing a deeper investigation with more experiential pieces in Eye of the Needle Part 2. So thanks so much for participating in this, and look so much forward to being with you either in person or online. And thanks so much. Okay, ciao.